for the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. The Checkered Flag is presented by Mahaska, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Sigourney Body Shop, Danny's Auto Supply, Quality Car Wash, Morton Buildings, Motor Inn Auto Group of Knoxville, Vanderlinden Detailing, Schroeder Alignment and Towing, Vital Ministries, RJ Performance, and Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. It's time for the Checkered Flag on your station for racing. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch for another edition of the Checkered Flag Show, and you're hearing us live on 104.9 FM KBOE and watching us live on KBOEradio.com. I'm joined by the man who makes things happen here at Pizza Ranch. Larry, how's it going?
Good, good.
Hey, it's great to see you again, and we talked a couple weeks ago when we first got here to the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch to have our first show here, and one thing that's awesome with the way that this times out is people can come before the show, enjoy the fantastic buffet, and then stay and watch what's going on here at the Checkered Flag. So what do we have on the buffet?
Well, we got chicken and all the trimmings, vegetables, mashed potatoes, gravy, biscuits, some sausage biscuit or sausage gravy. We've got pizza on a whole different table, and you can, if you don't see your favorite pizza on there, you can tell the gals and they'll get you one. They'll make you one. And we got a really good salad bar to go with.
And that's what I was about to say. You have, you know, like you could go from the salad bar, grab a couple slices of pizza, go grab a couple of, you know, chicken legs, and then go right back to the dessert pizza, the cactus bread. What would you like to tell some people what you would like to have on those buffets when you come in here on a Tuesday night?
What I like? Oh, I eat chicken or pizza, either one.
You're not too picky.
No.
We got this show obviously on Tuesday nights, but this buffet happens every single night of the week. Is that correct?
Correct, and every noon.
Yeah, so you have afternoon and dinner buffets. What time does the afternoon buffets go on?
They go during the week. They go from 11 to 1:30. On weekends, 11 to 2, and then the evening ones go from 5 to 7:30. Weekends, 5 to 8. But what a lot of people don't know is we have a full menu, and they come in and look, no buffet. We'll just go somewhere else, and we can cook up something for them that's just as good. Come off the buffet, you know. It's same stuff we put on the buffet, but we'll cook it for them hot and fresh.
Yeah, well,
any time of the day.
And that's one thing that I enjoy is the fact that if you don't want to deal with the big crowds, because when you come for a buffet, this place is full. I mean, if people go out and check out what's going on in the buffet, the restaurant is full right now. If you want to have a little bit quieter atmosphere around 4 or 4:30, they could get their pickings of what they want on the menu. So what are your hours of operation from start to finish on a normal weekday?
Well, we open it on weekends. We open at 11 and close at 8.
All right, perfect. So anytime in between those two buffets, people can come and order anything off the menu. Anything you'd like to say before we get you out of here, Larry?
Well, they can order off the buffet, but we also cater, deliver. They can order online. We got the whole thing.
All right, Larry, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you.
All right, that is Larry from the Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. We got a fun show for you tonight, but it all is going to start with our recaps. After we take our first break, we'll come back and recap what happened at Southern Iowa Speedway and Knoxville Raceway when we return on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Celebrating 35 years in business, Rick and his crew at RJ Performance have kicked off a year-long sales event with a huge inventory of Polaris, Ranger, and ATV, Indian and Victory motorcycles, and the Hot Rod Autocycle Slingshot. We also carry the famous Yamaha line of ATV and off-road motorcycles, including the new retro street bikes. Tired of watching your friends have all the fun? RJ Performance also has a huge inventory of quality pre-owned UTV, ATV, and street bikes. Stop in today and get in on the fun, or visit us online at rjperformance.com.
Spring is here, and so is racing season. Every race car driver knows how important it is to take care of their car. At Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash, it's more than just a name. It's what they offer. The touchless car wash has no brushes and won't leave any scratches. There are 4 options to choose from, and all will leave your car looking spotless. Quality Car Wash is located at 1101 A Avenue West in Oskaloosa. Race in to Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash today.
Back here on the Checkered Flag Show, thanks so much for joining us. We'll go ahead and start right away with our show. We got plenty of fantastic guests that we're going to be talking about, and we'll get to those in a second. But first, the week that was in racing locally. We'll take a look at the Southern Iowa Speedway and Knoxville Raceway, starting with what happened in Oskaloosa last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday, there was more great action at the Southern Iowa Speedway, and all the action was heard right here on the No Coast Network. Last Wednesday was Craig Ford night at the Southern Iowa Speedway. 45 cars signed in to tame the Monster Half Mile. The kids got to get close up to the drivers as there was a driver's autograph session at intermission for the youngsters behind the flag stand. Meanwhile, in the hobby stocks, the $300 bounty on Shannon Anderson was again up for grabs thanks to Adele Lawn Service, Cindy Drost, and Independent Auto of Marshalltown. Anderson would still get a milestone win in the hobby stocks, keeping him perfect on the season. Brian Clausen won in the sport compacts, Nathan Wood won in the stock cars, Curtis Vanderwall won again in the sport mods, and Scott Dickey picked up the win in the modifieds. The first feature of the night was the 8-lap Kelly Style State Farm IMCA Sport Compacts feature. 5 cars signed in to race, and after the initial start was called back, they tried to get a lap completed. Before lap 1 was in the books, the caution came out when Levi Heath and Brandon Housley both came to a stop in turn 1. On the restart, Daniel Fellows grabbed the lead away and never looked back. However, Fellows didn't report to tech, so that gave Brian Clausen the win ahead of Clayton Webster. Fellows was given third ahead of Heath and Housley. Oskaloosa True Value IMCA Sport Mods 14-lap feature was next to roll on the speedway, and it was Brayton Carter that grabbed his top spot early. Carter looked comfortable out in front until the caution came out on lap 4 for Logan Anderson in turn 2 and Carter Vandenberg on the backstretch. On the restart, Curtis Vanderwall made the right move and got by Jason Hall, Colton Livesey, and Carter to take the lead. Vanderwall led the remaining laps to take his 4th win of the season at Oski. Jason McDaniel wrestled second away. Brayton Carter was third, with Colton Livesey 4th and Austin Paul 5th. Scott Dickey led all 14 laps of the Musco Lighting IMCA Modifieds feature event to take his first win in 2017 at the Monster Half Mile. Colt Mather tried to chase him down but ran out of time and settled with a second-place finish. Todd Cooney was third, Caden Carter was 4th, and Jason Murray was 5th. In the Budweiser IMCA Stock Cars 14-lap feature event, it was Danny Thrasher leading lap 1, but on lap 2 it was Nathan Wood taking the top spot away. Wood saw several challenges from Derek Agee, but it was Wood hanging on to take his 3rd win at Oski ahead of Agee. Mike Hughes, Todd Reitzler, and Thrasher rounded out the top 5. The final feature of the night was the KBOE Radio Mahaska IMCA Hobby Stocks 14-lap feature. Jared Stevens and Ryan Wells led the field to the green, and it was Stevens taking the early race lead. Meanwhile, Mike Kincaid, who started 6th, and Shannon Anderson, who started 9th, worked their way through the field. Kincaid took the top spot away on lap 6, edging out Anderson to the line, but it was Anderson taking the lead away on lap 7. Anderson began to pull away, and not even lap traffic would slow him down. Anderson went on to take his 6th win at Oski, 18th win of the season as a whole, and the 300th IMCA Hobby Stock win in his career. Mike Kincaid fell short and finished 2nd. Steve Allen was 3rd. Stevens fell back to 4th, and Bill Bonnet was 5th. Wednesday night this week is Y'all's Auto Salvage Night. The IMCA Modifieds, Stock Cars, Sport Mods, Hobby Stocks, and Sport Compacts are all taking on the Monster Half Mile. High laps begin at 7, racing action at 7:30 p.m. For more info, check out OskiSpeedway.com or like Southern Iowa Speedway every Wednesday night on Facebook. Our coverage, of course, begins with the Southern Iowa Speedway pre-race show at 6 p.m. That will be followed at 7:15 with live lap-by-lap and turn-by-turn coverage of Southern Iowa Speedway racing right here on the No Coast Network. It was fitting on the first Van Wall equipment night and a night Knoxville Raceway hosted its future stars. 3 first-time winners graced victory lane at the sprint car capital of the world on Saturday. Matt Jewell from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, persevered in traffic to claim his first ever win in the 410 sprint car class. Sawyer Phillips held off veteran Clint Garner to finish atop the 360 class, and Brad Comagese led from green to checker in the 305 class. Before a lap could be completed in the 20-lap 410 feature, Rager Phillips came to a stop in turn 2. He would continue with his nose wing askew. Matt Jewell shot out from the pole position when the green flag fell again, with Brian Brown jumping up to 2nd from row 2 ahead of Austin McCarl, Brooke Tatnell, and Josh Schneiderman. 2 laps were completed when Brown entered turn 1 and his left rear wheel exited the car. The 2-time track champion flipped in the turn 1 fence but was uninjured. Jewell would lead the field back to green ahead of Austin McCarl, Tatnell, Schneiderman, and Terry McCarl. The rest of the event would go non-stop. Terry McCarl rode the cushion to get by Schneiderman on the restart, but Ian Madsen was on the move as well, entering the top 5 by lap 5. Up front, Jewell would enter traffic with 9 laps to go. Despite hesitating behind a couple of markers, he maintained his advantage over Austin McCarl, who closed in on him on occasion. Madsen would get by Terry McCarl for 4th and reel in fellow Aussie Brooke Tatnell in the closing stages. Jewell would continue on to his first triumph in Knoxville ahead of a strong Austin McCarl, Madsen, who nipped Tatnell on the last lap for 3rd, and Terry McCarl, Schneiderman, Danny Lasowski, Dominic Stazzi, Chris Martin, and Linton Jeffrey rounded out the top 10. Jeffrey posted the quick time on the night, with Martin, Tasker Phillips, and Schneiderman winning the heats. 19-year-old Sawyer Phillips had a similar journey to the front as Jewell. He outdrug fellow front row starter Clint Garner and kept the hammer down, using the low groove as he led Garner, Ryan Giles, Matt Morrow, and John Agan early in the 18-lapper. Phillips entered lap traffic on the 6th circuit and remained flawless. On one occasion in turn 3, he would split a pair of lappers to extend his margin. Disaster struck on lap 12 for the 3rd running Giles when he slowed on the backstretch and coasted to the infield. Phillips would bobble a bit the last 2 laps, but he recorded his first win ahead of Garner, Morrow, Agan, and Jamie Ball, who would later be disqualified for not reporting to the scales. Calvin Landis, Nate Van Haften, Chris Martin, Joe Beaver, Troy Manteuffel, and Tyler Gronendijk would help complete the official top 10. Landis set quick time over the field, while Martin, Garner, and Christian Bowman won heat races. A bit of luck aided Brad Comagese to begin the 15-lap 305 feature. Chris Walraven slowed on the first attempt and restarted at the tail. On the second try, Ryan Levitt jumped to the right rear of Kevin Hetrick and flipped in turn 4. The two were starting inside rows 2 and 3. When pole sitter Matt Stevenson was penalized for his 3rd false start, Comagese inherited the pole after being scheduled to start 7th. He would then hit the low side of the raceway in the lead. Behind him, Cade Higday shot to the cushion from the outside row 4 and took the runner-up spot ahead of Joe Simbro, Stevenson, and Eric Bridger. Comagese remained out in front, entered lap traffic on lap 9. A circuit later, he almost turned his car sideways. Dan Henning was being lapped and spun to avoid the leader, backing his car into the turn 3 wall. He was okay. Comagese would lead the field back to green. Stevenson would use the restart to shoot by Simbro into 3rd. Higday would reel in the leader late, but Comagese would hold on to his first Knoxville win ahead of Higday, Stevenson, Bridger, and Tyler Glass. Simbro, Kelby Watt, Evan Epperson, hard charger Mike Mayberry, and Corey Couts rounded out the top 10. Walraven posted quick time, while Stevenson, Higday, and Comagese won the heats. On Saturday night, June 24th, it's Marion County Farm Bureau Mid-Season Championships night. The Knoxville Raceway Hall of Fame inductions will also be taking place. All 3 sprint car classes will be in action. For more information, you can visit knoxvilleraceway.com. Many thanks to Bill Wright for the story.
As you can see, a fantastic week of racing here in the listening area. And, of course, on the Checkered Flag next week, we'll always have some results, not only from what's happening at Southern Iowa Speedway and Knoxville Raceway, but also as we can find time, the Eddyville Raceway Park, they're going to be back in action this coming weekend. Also, the figure 8 racetracks from around the listening area as well. So be sure to check us back out next Tuesday for what happens coming up this week in the racing around our listening area. We'll go ahead and dig into our guests. We got Damon and Dallin Murdy that are going to be coming up in a little while. Also, Trevor Rash, he's going to be talking modifieds. But first, we're going to talk with our old friend Bill McCroskey. We're going to talk sprint cars from Knoxville Raceway after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Sigourney Body Shop is the intelligent choice. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that great service and reasonable prices are the reason Sigourney Body Shop is the #1 body shop in the Sigourney area. They do auto and truck collision repairs, glass replacement, body and paint work, free at-home estimates, are complete service specialists, and they offer pickup and delivery and a loaner car. Sigourney Body Shop at 210 Clark Street in Sigourney, or call 641-622-2022.
We love the quality, we love the construction. We're looking forward to working with Morton in the future.
They have this down to a science. They know exactly what you want. They know how to make it happen. It's an easy process.
I would definitely recommend Morton. From the first time I met the salesman to the last nail that the crew put in, it has been a positive and professional experience.
I'm so happy I found Morton because they just make the job so easy.
Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Welcome back here on the Checkered Flag here on the No Coast Network. I'm being joined by my first guest of the evening, our old friend, sprint car correspondent Bill McCroskey. Bill, thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, Emery. How you doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good.
What an odd night you guys had over on Saturday at Knoxville Raceway. 3 first-timers getting a win, as we saw in our highlight package there. Take me through what it was like to see that in person, and how surprised were you that each race was able to produce a first-time winner?
Well, ironically, it was their Future Stars night, and apparently whoever picked that night out as being Future Stars was clairvoyant or something, because 3 first-time winners, like you said. And I would seriously doubt in the history of Knoxville, since they went to 3 classes, they've ever had 3 winners. They might have, but I sure don't remember 3 first-time winners like that. So it was pretty unique to have it on Future Stars night and Van Wall Implement night. So it worked out really good. It was a great night. The weather kind of chased them. Had some sprinkles off and on. Never slowed the event down. The checkered flag for the 410 class, the last class of the night, fell at 9:39. It worked out really good because a lot of the young fans got to come down and kind of hang out at 9:39 at night. So that was a bonus for having to speed the show along under the threat of weather.
Yeah, the weather aside, the pace of these events are always very good, but we talked about it early part of this season at Knoxville. It just seemed like there was yellows and reds galore, a lot of highlight reel crashes. We kind of got back to that a little bit on Saturday, a couple of collisions and wrecks that definitely were worth checking out. What did you see on that front as well on Saturday?
Well, Brian Brown was probably the major shunt of the night. His left rear wheel, for whatever reason, broke, came off. I really don't know. I just saw it go flying away, and Brian kind of snapped around. The left rear wheel came off, then the left rear dug in. Fortunately for him, he flipped a couple of times before he hit the fence. And he was, I seen him come out of the car, and he was kind of limping. I think he banged his legs up a little bit and kind of hurt his, didn't hurt his points chances, but he was leading the points. He didn't get any, or he didn't get maximum points like normally he would have. So it put him in second place. He's just, I think, 39 points behind Ian Madsen. And I'd say, quite frankly, it's kind of come down to a two-driver race for the 410 championship. This Saturday night's Marion County Farm Bureau night, and it's also mid-season championship. However, there's been kind of a shake-up in third place. Young Austin McCarl's taken over third, and his dad's in fifth. And I'm sure that doesn't set too well with his dad to be 2 spots behind his son, but Kerry Madsen kind of splits the difference. So we've got 2 Madsens and 2 McCarls in the top 5 in the 410 class. That's pretty cool. And again, it was Future Stars night, so here's Austin running in third place in the points. And with the mid-season championships, it's exactly what it means. We're kind of in that midway point of the season, and with 3 first-time winners in all 3 classes, you get an opportunity to kind of see who might be trying to break through that glass ceiling and enter their name into the hat, not necessarily to contend for a track championship immediately or within the next couple of years, but just to kind of be a factor and maybe steal some points from some guys that would really like to pick up some wins later in the season. Of the 3 drivers that got wins, who might be the one that you think has the best chance to kind of build on this and have a little bit more consistency in the top 5 in their respective class? Well, I would say that probably Matt Jewell. He hasn't raced at Knoxville a lot. He won the 410 race, and he's been fast. He ran with the NSL virtually all of last year, and he's coming down here weekly. And as he gets experience on a big half mile versus some of the shorter tracks up in South Dakota where he's from, I think he could be a factor in the next few years. But I definitely think Austin hasn't won a race yet, but you'll notice he's in third place in the points, which tells me he's knocking on the door. And you see that in NASCAR right now as well. Just that's when I look at what NASCAR is doing, it's not necessarily direct mirror image, but it's the Ian Madsens are kind of like the Jimmy Johnsons of the world, and you're just waiting for that, Chase Elliott to finally get a chance to win a race or two. With that being the case, as Knoxville has this mid-season championships, it's going to be a big night of racing. What do you expect coming up this Saturday? Well, first of all, adults are $15, and that's a heck of a bargain when you look at what movie theaters are and everything else, and they take care of the 13 to 19-year-olds too. It's only $10. So if you're a middle school or a high school or even kind of a freshman in college, you can still get in for $10. 12 and under is free. I mean, as a family, it's affordable entertainment, and there'll be all 3 classes, like you said, racing this Saturday night. We've been averaging probably in the mid-60s for the 3 classes. Again, I think that's going to pick up a little bit as we get closer to the month of money, which is what August is referred to as the month of money. So, and again, they run a good snappy show. Even on a normal night when they're not in rain mode, you're probably going to get out of there at 10:15 to 10:30 for the final checkered flag of the night. So that makes it, you know, pretty nice for a family entertainment if you can get out of there at 10:15. The movie theater won't get out a lot of times before 10:15. So you can see that it's fan friendly, family friendly.
And the racing has been fantastic of late. Who are a couple of younger drivers that haven't necessarily won? We talk about Austin McCraw, but other than him, in these other classes that you think are really close to maybe making that #1 win of their career in the relatively near future?
Well, about any of them, yeah, I'm telling you, like Matt Jewell winning last Saturday night. There's just probably a handful of drivers in all 3 classes that, when the moon and the stars, everything lines up right, they couldn't win. So I'm not going to pull out any names because I'm sure I would forget somebody, but virtually every one of them's got a chance if everything goes right. You know, Brian Brown, crashed out, but Brian Brown could have an off night and finish 6th or 8th. So again, out of the 65 cars that say compete here weekly in the 3 classes, probably 40 of them have never won a feature at Knoxville, and I'd say 30 of them could easily win one if everything worked out right. So you've got 2 rookies running in the top 5 of the 305 class. So that right there tells you. And Ryan Levitt's already won 2 or 3 features, and so you've got a veteran and Kevin Hedrick leading the points, but you've got young Eric Bridger from Winterset, who's also a rookie, in 2nd place in the points. So again, you got a crafty veteran and Chris Walraven, who's I believe 3rd in the points. So you can see that it's a mixture of young and old in all 3 classes. And that makes it exciting. It was Future Stars night last Saturday night, and I'm telling you, whoever picked that night certainly has some powers of clairvoyancy, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a fun night of racing. We're excited to see how it continues as the midseason championships on Saturday. Time's the same, correct? Everything should be on time as usual.
Yeah, 6:45 for hot laps. You're looking at time trials. I think it's they start time trials at 7 o'clock or something like that. But again, short of something crazy, the last checkered flag will fall in that 10 to 10:30 area, I'd say, unless they're in rain mode like they were Saturday night. And I mean, it was bingo, bango, bongo out the door, and they had to be. And as we talked earlier, the rain just fell apart. It'd get to the Marion County line over by Pleasantville or Melcher, it'd be raining like crazy, and come to Knoxville, and it was just a sprinkle. Well, so it worked out good for Knoxville.
And you can't complain about that, especially with the kind of racing that we saw there.
Absolutely.
So we're expecting big things from the midseason championships. We'll probably have you on next week, Bill, to kind of talk about what happened. Thanks so much for joining us here on Checkered Flag.
Thanks a lot.
That is Bill McCroskey. He is our sprint car correspondent here on the Checkered Flag. We have a very fun show lined up for you, and we're going to start with Damon Murdy when we return from the break, talk about his fantastic career in the stock car. When we return, right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Hi, we are Caleb and Carissa and Kate, and our dad is Boomer. You know the guy that owns Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. If you're in need of truck or SUV accessories, come see our dad. He offers what you need to be riding in style. He'll make your truck cool, and he'll make you smile. Call 628-9350 or stop on the east side of Pella on Oskaloosa Street. Tell Dad the kids sent you.
This is Mike Serig with Vital Ministries, and we are looking forward to this new race season right here in Oskaloosa. We have many options for you race fans to get plugged in on a weekly basis throughout the season. We have a radio broadcast every Sunday morning at 8:30 on KBOE 104.9 FM, and we also send out daily inspirations for both men and women on our vitalministries.org webpage 6 days a week. So don't just sit there and let the summer speed by. Come join us throughout the race season.
Call Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing in Sigourney for your alignment and towing needs at 622-2269 or 641-660-5515. They feature 24-hour towing. You can trust Schroeder's experience with your towing needs, DOT license and insured. All insurance companies welcomed. For alignment, Terry Schroeder uses the Hunter Alignment System to get your vehicle back on the road in no time. Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing, 413 West Clark in Sigourney.
Welcome back on the Checkered Flag. Emery Stunger being joined by my second guest of the evening, Damon Murdy. Damon, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and start. For people who know racing around here, they are familiar with your name, stock car driver. Let's go ahead before we do anything else. Let's talk about where your interest in racing came from, when you got a chance to kind of get started in it, and how you were able to work your way up into a stock car.
Oh, it all started with the DeFrance family. Dale DeFrance and Judy DeFrance, Daryl DeFrance. They'd be my second cousin. My uncle, how I got into it, my uncle started racing, and I was probably my son's age, or probably younger than that. I'd go to the races with him on Friday nights, and I'd watch him race his hobby stock, and he won all the time. And then when I turned 16, me and a buddy of mine, Aaron Balving from Chelsea, ended up building actually the car I drove to school. It was I had a school permit and I drove it to school, and we actually turned it into a hobby stock.
You had a lot of success in the hobby stock as well. If I'm correct, you won the Hobby Stock National Championship back in 2000, and you won 60 races in the hobby stock and just decided it was time to move up into what my friend Jeremy Fox says, the class too tough to tame. So how did that transition go? Was it something you were always kind of thinking about to move in from the hobby stock to a stock car, or is it just kind of a natural progression for a guy who's seen it all in a hobby stock and wants to move up to a stock car?
Oh, I always wanted to drive a stock car, but the biggest fear was not being able to win. I mean, I was used to winning 2-3 nights a week, you know, and if I would have known that it was going to be, you know, that I could click wins off right away. The second night we went to Texas, I won in the stock car, and I thought, man, this is easy. Well, which it's not easy, because then we come home and I struggled for about a month, and I was ready to trade someone even up for a hobby stock and go back to hobby stock, but glad we didn't. As it's turned out, we've had a lot of success in the stock car.
Hey, I got the success in front of me. Curtis Vanderwall helps us out, gives me a lot of information about some of the drivers he helps us book for the show. 2005 IMCA Stock Car Nationals champion, 3-time winner of the Stock Car Shootout. You won your 200th IMCA Stock Car race in 2016. 2011 Race of Champions winner, 5-time IMCA Iowa State champion, and 6 career track championships. That doesn't happen by accident. So take me through kind of the setup that you like, because you were able to make that transition from hobby stock to a stock car so easily. I know the rules are a little bit different, it's regulated a little bit differently, but how are you able to kind of get that success so quickly with the setup in your car?
A lot of help, a lot of guys from around the racetrack helped me out and kind of steered me in the right direction, and after that, I mean, probably 80% of it was just luck. Just fell on, you know, come on as something that worked, and I guess to this day you still find stuff that works that you wish you would have found 2 years ago, you know.
And you look at what you've done, what I find interesting is 6 track championships. You talk about winning 3 nights a week. What is kind of the circuit for Damon Murdy in a stock car? What kind of tracks do you like to hit on a regular basis, and which ones are the ones that you put at the top of the list that are your favorite to run?
Oh, Marshalltown, I like going there. Vinton, that's that's treated me really well. I would say my favorite track to race at was the fairgrounds in Des Moines, and they tore that place up, so we'll never get to go back there. But yeah, Marshalltown and Vinton.
All right, awesome. And when you say that, these tracks are a little bit different. You have Southern Iowa Speedway here, and even guys that run Eldon and Bloomfield know that the setup is very different from some of these tracks to some of the other tracks that a lot of other guys run. Do you have to make any minor adjustments when you go to these tracks, or is it something that you just kind of will drive the car the exact same way as much as you can on each different track?
I usually just change one spring and the gear to track.
So how's the car for Damon Murray handled? Like, do you prefer a loose car, a tight car? What is the perfect car for you? What part of the racetrack do you like to drive on? Does it kind of matter on the night?
I like to be a little free. I like to run the outside. If there's a cushion, I can get around a cushion. I'd get around the top a lot better than I get around the bottom.
Okay, so for the rest of this season, I know that you are still digging in. We'll talk to actually your son, Dallin, in a couple of minutes and talk about what he's up to. But you're kind of pulling double duty, as a father helping get a kid going in racing who's seen success already, and you still are finding plenty of success in what you're doing in a stock car. Kind of how has that kind of worked the last couple of years as you've been able to kind of morph into that role?
Oh, I guess it'll be a lot funner. He gets a few more years under his belt, and we can start racing for the lead. That's I guess when he beats me, then I guess that'll be time to hang up and just crew chief. But from now on, I mean, till then, I'm just gonna keep on doing what I'm doing, and yeah.
Well, when you have so much success, it makes it real easy to say that you just want to keep doing what you're doing. The rest of the season, what are kind of the ideas that you're hoping to accomplish before the season ends? Is there a track championship kind of in your sights? What are kind of the things that you'd like to see happen for yourself before the end of this season?
Oh, I'm not running nowhere for track points. That's why I only have 6. I've not really ran. I farm, and I have to. Usually in the spring we miss a few nights, so I don't run for many track champions, mostly just run to win. Like to come here and win this Oskaloosa, the stock car shootout. That'd be a good accomplishment and good race to win. And Webster City's having a special in August. It pays $3,000 to win. I'd like to win that one too, and just any of the big money shows.
All right, awesome. Is there anything I should know before I talk to Dallin that you want me to grill him on, or are you just gonna let me do what I want with him?
I'll go ahead and do what you want.
All right, that is Damon Murdy. Thanks so much, sir, for joining us, and we'll see what the younger Murdy has to say when we return. That is Damon Murdy. We'll be back with Dallin Murdy after this on the No Coast Network.
Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store, Danny's Auto Supply, not only offers great prices on the quality parts and supplies you need for your vehicle, they also now offer complete car care. From brakes, oil changes to a major overhaul, Danny's Auto Supply has you covered from A to Z with parts and now a full-time automotive technician on staff. Danny's Auto Supply is located at 827 East Main in Ottumwa. See them for all your auto parts and vehicle needs. That's Danny's Auto Supply, Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store.
April at Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville means new deals on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles on the lot. A 2017 Dodge Journey SXT 4-wheel drive is 23% off MSRP and saves you over $5,700. A 2017 Dodge Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab 4x4 is 20% off MSRP and saves you over $1,000 when you purchase. Or look good in a 2017 Dodge Charger SXT all-wheel drive, saving you over $6,900 with 20% off MSRP. The dealer that's easy to deal with and hard to beat. Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville.
Welcome back into the Checkered Flag. We are live, and I'm being joined by the younger Murdy, Dallin Murdy. Dallin, how's it going today?
Good.
All right, so we talked to Pops here, Damon. He's got a lot of wins under his belt, and I'm sure it's going to be a pretty easy answer for you when I asked you how'd you get into racing. But what got you interested in racing? I know you started at a very young age, but tell me what you liked about seeing the race cars and wanting to actually be a driver. At, I believe the age was 3 when you first started driving.
Yeah, I always grew up watching him, and every time we went to a racetrack, I had a bag of race cars, and right next to Dad's car, I always made a racetrack out of something. Then I'd always get in his car, act like I was driving, you know. That's how it really got started.
Age of 3, I'm sure you can't even fully remember everything that you did when you were 3 years old, but you started racing the go-karts at age 3. How, from what you do remember from those, younger days, how much did you, remember learning, and how much help did you actually have as you were trying to find ways to win in go-karts at a young age?
Yeah, I remember my first race, and it wasn't a good memory. I tore the body off the car, and that was it. And then we just kept getting better and better from then on, and it paid off finally.
It says that, you've obviously won, but you moved to cage karts in 2014. For somebody who doesn't really know the difference for somebody like me, explain kind of what that transition was like going from the regular go-karts into the cage karts.
Yeah, the Grubels, they asked me if I wanted to do it, and it got a little bit faster in it, and it was real different. I just, first time I raced it, I won, and it seemed to adapt to me pretty easily.
Well, when you win the first time, that makes you want to go back pretty often, and you've won the English Creek Nationals in 2014 and 15, won the 2015 Battle at the Barn, and you moved to a micro mod in 2015. Take me through what a micro mod is.
It's got a Croc motorcycle crotch rocket engine. It's a 600cc. It looks like a modified kind of, but yeah, that's basically it.
All right, so you've already won 7 races in the micro mod, and you're leading the points of the Benton County Speedway, which is run on Sunday nights. So before we even get to your stock car career, this is kind of something that, do you see yourself kind of just moving from one level to the next level, and when you feel like you're ready for the next challenge, you kind of quickly graduate into that next car?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing in the micro mod. That was a big step to accomplish, but then first couple of races, it was hard. The first year I started, I was struggling big time, and the last year we finally just got tamed down and figured it out, and we started winning a couple races, and now it seems like it comes easily now.
All right, so in the micro mod, what kind of car do you like to handle? Talk to Dad. He enjoys having a little bit of free, likes to run on the high side of the racetrack. How do you like to kind of drive?
Them cars, they work best on the bottom, right against the tires, and I try to go to the high side, but he always yells at me all the time for doing it. He's like, get to the bottom. I'm like, all right, whatever. So, yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He's won a few races. So speaking of winning a few races, he moved into the stock cars, 15 years ago or so. And when I look at his career in stock cars, he's won about as many races as anybody I've ever talked to. For you, you've just recently jumped into a stock car, and that's got to be a new and exciting challenge for you. What made you want to jump into a stock car?
Oh, one, it got brought up because they were having a race down in Memphis, Missouri a couple years ago, and it was I could race because it wasn't sanctioned. We brought up the idea, and I wasn't too concerned about it, but then came race day, we scaled the car and ended up going, so that's what happened, I guess.
All right, so how did you enjoy that? What kind of did you notice different from what you've done in the micro mod?
The steering was way different, and that was the biggest problem I had, because my micro mod, it turned so easy, and it would go. If I want to turn it, it'd go. That one, it was a little bit more stressed out,
Had to work a little bit harder in the driver's seat, I'm sure. So you just started that last year, if I'm correct, and you're actually now regularly on a weekly basis competing in Webster City in the stock car. So how much are you learning on a week-to-week basis as you are still in your rookie year, as you could say?
Yeah, it keeps getting better and better. We keep getting the handle down for the car, and hopefully one of these times we can get a good top 10 finish.
So what have you learned about the setup of your car and the stock car? Do you know exactly how you want to drive that right now, or are you kind of just trying to listen to what Dad and other people have to say as you try to figure it out?
Yeah, we're just kind of riding through it. Got to feel for it a little bit, but it's still changes every time.
All right, so may I ask how old you are?
I'm 12 right now.
Okay, so you're 12 years old. You're already jumping into a stock car on a week-to-week basis. You've already won a bunch of races in the micro mods and go-karts and the cage karts. So you still have plenty of time to where you can get really good at the stock car, and maybe you're already driving a version of a modified. Is that something you'd like to jump into? Is there any limits to what you'd like to accomplish in racing?
Yeah, I'd like to jump into a modified, but first race after that stock car, my dad's like, I don't think you're gonna like that. The stock car, they're way different. It was like more flat. I liked it like that. I'm not used to hiking up real much, and I guess that's how I want to drive it.
All right, so off to a good start in your race career. Do you have anybody besides Dad that helps you out that you'd like to mention here on TV?
No, that's about it. You know, he's the one I rely on.
Well, that's awesome, the fact that you got both of you guys in here on the show tonight. And with his success and your success already, I'm sure we're going to have you on again sometime. But congratulations on a good start to your racing career, and thanks so much for joining us on the Checkered Flag.
Thank you.
That is Dallin Murdy, a fantastic young driver here out of Chelsea, Iowa. And we'll be back. When we come back, we're going to be talking the big modifieds, one of the top modified classes that you'll be talking about. We'll be talking to Trevor Rash, and he's the National Technical Director for the United States Modified Touring Series. We'll have a lot of different interesting things to ask him when we get back right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
At Pepsi, we think it's important to celebrate stuff in life.
Like when you text that really cute guy you met at a party on Friday, and he immediately texts you back. You celebrate with an ice-cold Pepsi.
Or your friend turns on the radio, and your absolute most favorite new song just happens to be playing. That calls for a Pepsi, too.
Because when you and your roommate order a pizza, and the delivery guy throws in extra breadsticks, no charge?
Break out the Pepsi.
Hi, I'm fake Sarah McLaughlin. When was the last time you really gave your car some love? Has your car been the victim of neglect over the winter? Does it have old French fries in places that no one should ever have old French fries? Then wait no further. Pick up the phone and give Jeff at Vanderlinden Detailing a call right now. Give your vehicle the love it deserves, a full inside and outside detail. Make a difference today. Call Jeff at 641-780-0119 or follow Vanderlinden Detailing on Facebook.
Welcome back on the Checkered Flag. Emery Songer with you, and my final guest of the evening is Trevor Rash from Sigourney. Trevor, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here.
All right, so your official title is the National Director National Technical Director for the United States Modified Touring Series. That's about as high a level of modifieds you're going to get in the United States. So before we get to how you ended up here, how did you get involved in racing to begin with and work your way up to the spot that you're at now?
Way back, I don't know, I was 4 or 5 years old. I started going to the races to watch my stepdad race. There was a lot of people from Sigourney area that were racing at Oski every week. We'd go to Oski and Eldon just about every week to watch those guys. It was just kind of a bug. It hit me, and I never could really get away from it. I don't know anything I'd rather do than go to the racetrack.
Well, you're not only going to the racetrack, but you've had an opportunity to work on some cars. As I understand, you were a crew member for Nathan Wood, who's found plenty of success for himself as a driver. Kind of, what were your responsibilities in the pits, and how much did you learn on cars and kind of how things worked? Because it's kind of odd, your current position, you're kind of enforcing some rules that you probably were trying to get away from when you were in the pits. Take me through kind of your career in the pits.
Well, that deal kind of started, I don't know, I was probably 2001 or 2002, I would suppose. I just got done working on my pickup in shop class. We put a new clutch in it. Nathan blew the clutch out of his hobby stock, and he said, "Hey, you can come help me. You know how to do this?" And it was all downhill from there. I couldn't count the numbers of nights that I spent 3-4 wide in that blue Chevy pickup. Nathan and I had a lot of success. It got to the point where I could do just about anything you wanted. I mean, we've cut cars apart, rebuilt cars for Nathan and for other people. We've done just about everything to a race car that you could ever ask for. And it kind of moved on from there. I started helping Colt Mather a little bit with his modified stuff. Traveled for a couple of years with Colt on the road. He actually raced some of this USMTS stuff where I work now. And he was kind of, I don't know, we kind of had some differences. Colt and I are great friends, but we just don't work well together. So it was one of those things, if you can't beat them, join them. And I decided that I might as well start working in I needed a job where I could get paid and be at the racetrack instead of skipping jobs where I was getting paid to go to the racetrack. And this was about the one I could find.
Well, this was 2011, became the technical director, national technical director from the United States Modified Touring Series. Describe to me what your responsibilities are with that, talking about, you know, the top modified series in the country.
Well, there's nothing like jumping in head first, I guess. Basically, you got to check, you got to start with the safety equipment. You got to make sure all that stuff's up to date and up to code. And then you go through cars, and man, let me tell you, I never in my life, I mean, I'd worked on a lot of cars and we'd done a lot of things, but I did not realize the progression of a car. And we're talking day to day, we're not talking year to year. Every day there's something new. There's an engineer somewhere trying to figure out something, and they're pretty darn good at their job, and it definitely keeps me on my toes.
So what are you trying to do when you figure that stuff out? I know that you kind of have a rule book, and you see even, at Southern Iowa Speedway after the race, the top 4 or 5 guys have to go and to tech and make sure that they get inspected and pass the inspection. So how does that exactly work on your end of things?
Well, it's a difficult situation because on one hand, you like people to be able to express themselves and do things that make them faster, make the races better. On the other hand, you can't just have somebody doing whatever they want because it gets out of hand. And there's a really fine line you got to draw there between what you like, and that's come up a few times. I mean, there's been some stuff where some guys will do some pretty wicked, crazy stuff on their car, and it's like, man, I'd really like to work on that, and I'd like to know how it works, but I just don't feel like that's the way we need to go right now. And those days are tough because you got to slap somebody on the hand for something that you kind of wish you'd have thought of. It's a tough situation because you got to keep everybody in line, but at the same time, you got to keep the sport going forward. And there's a fine line between all that stuff, what's good for us and what's bad for us. Who knows?
Well, you being a guy that liked to work on cars and figure some stuff out, you talk about, I wish I would have thought of some of this stuff that these guys are coming up with. How did that experience kind of give you this insight and knowledge to figure out what that fine line might be, knowing that you'd love to be one of those guys kind of trying to push the envelope at the same time that you're kind of governing them?
Well, the biggest thing is, I needed something that was steady, and that's a job, and that's what this was. So that's why I had to go this direction. The most steady job in racing is for the promoter or the racetrack, because you're going to have a little notice before they shut down, and race teams shut down every week. That's a bad thing. I don't really know how to answer that question, I guess, other than that. Just, you got to do something that will keep you employed, and trying to bend the rules all the time isn't a good way to stick around.
Right. Well, now that you get a chance to take a look at the guys that are trying to bend the rules and figure out, is it legal, is it not legal, how much leeway do you have? Are you kind of like the here-all, end-all, last line of defense and decision maker on what is going on with these, or is there kind of a by-the-book thing that really helps determine what is legal and not legal on these cars?
I'm not going to say I'm the almighty or anything like that. We definitely talk things out about things as they progress on a nightly basis, be it Monday or Friday or Sunday, it doesn't matter, we race them all. I can make that decision at any time. Sometimes people get a little angry and they're like, well, the rule book doesn't say you can't do it. And I said, well, if we really want to argue, I can have it done in about 15 minutes and we'll be over this, and it can. That's a power that's kind of scary sometimes, because it probably caught me a few times when we were younger and pushing the rules. I like my responsibility, but at the same time, it's way different, and it's hard to come home and work with guys like Nathan or Colt. And you go to racetracks and you look and you see stuff going on. It's just like, man, I don't know if this is where we really need to be. But at the same time, it's like, it's making us better. So you try not to cross those worlds back into each other, because that's a bad habit. But
it's hard for a guy who's just got, that urge to be working on the cars. Now, with this modified touring series, what is a typical weekly schedule for you? What kind of travel does that entail, and how frequently are you guys racing, and how often do you have to check some cars out?
We have about 65 nights on the schedule, and we start about the first week of February. That's 65 point nights, and then we'll do about 10 more specials that are usually 3 days long. So by the end of the year, we're doing pretty close to 90 nights. Most of the time that consists, like the February trip, we go to Texas for a month. So we leave like the first week of February, and it's March before I come back home to check my mail. But then once we get into the swing of things, like we're kind of into it now. Generally, we leave on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and we could go to New Mexico or Minnesota. In a couple weeks, we're going up to Wisconsin. And so we leave on Wednesday. We'll race Thursday, Friday, Saturday generally. I mean, we do some Mondays, Tuesdays, and we do a lot more Sundays now even. But I'm looking at race cars, I'm guessing probably 3 to 4 days a week, most weeks of the year. So.
And when you talk about this, how are you traveling? Do you get a chance to fly to these places, or are you having to do it like the guys who are lugging the cars cross country?
We're just like the guys lugging the cars. I mean, we're in a nice motor coach. There's 6 of us that stay in this thing, so I mean it's big. It's fully loaded though. I mean, we're talking refrigerator, bathroom, beds, TV, satellite. Live in luxury on the road as close as you can, but at the same time, you got to live on the road.
Yeah, it sounds real fun until you get about 2 hours away from home, and then you're just kind of like, all right, well, this is fun and all, but I would enjoy what I think is seeing different places. So what are some of the cooler tracks that you've gotten a chance to see, and what are some of the more interesting stories that you have from the road when you've gone out and had a chance to see some places that you haven't really gotten a chance to see too frequently?
Oh, I've been to some really cool places, and I've been to some real dumps. Seems like we go to some of those places, about one of those places every week. But Deer Creek is really a nice facility. It's probably the mecca of modified racing. I mean, to be a big name modified racer, I feel like you've got to win a race at Deer Creek, because they've got a weekly show there that's second to none. I mean, the USMTS is probably the premier traveling series in the country, and when we go to Deer Creek, you got to beat the locals first, and that's something we don't say very often. Wheatland, Missouri, that place, the diamond in the dirt, is the truth. I mean, this is a place that's got an on-site go-kart facility, a full-blown steakhouse, bar. They've got a drag boat pond or whatever you want to call it. It's ridiculous. I mean, I wouldn't even want to know what they've got sunk into that deal. I tell you though, some of my best memories are sitting around watching stock cars, street stocks, stock cars. Those guys put on a race everywhere you go, and that's something that's pretty consistent. Most of the modified guys that I deal with will tell you that modified racing's fun because it's fast and exciting, but the stock cars, man, those guys are door to door everywhere in the country. Doesn't matter if you're in Minnesota or New Mexico, Mississippi. We went to Mississippi this year, and that's the first time I've been there. We went to some cool places, but there's just too many racetracks to name, and they've all got something that makes them special.
Even if they're a dump.
Even if they're a dump. Sometimes being the dump is the best. Sometimes the crappiest facilities have the best racetracks, and sometimes the nicest facilities miss it. They try too hard sometimes.
All right, so we're only in the middle of June, getting toward the end of June. You guys probably still have plenty of action left on the season. What are some highlights that are coming up on the series that you'd like to hit on?
Close to home, we're doing some stuff. We got a couple more races in August in Mason City. We're doing a race in Webster City. We're doing stock cars and B-mods there. That'll be a good show. Stock cars and B-mods at Webster City, Iowa is one of the best shows you're going to see outside of being right here in Oskaloosa. I feel like the stock car class in Oskaloosa is second to none. If you can race here, it's just like racing the modified at Deer Creek. If you can race a stock car in Oskaloosa, Iowa, you can race a stock car just about anywhere and be competitive. That's not to say that the other places aren't good, but this place, there's a talent level here that's second to none. We've got the Fall Jamboree coming up the end of September. That'll be at Deer Creek Speedway. No better place to have the biggest modified race of the year than Deer Creek. We just finished up a $50,000 to win at Cedar Lake Speedway in New Richmond, Wisconsin. That place has late model history that is second to none, and we're starting to write a chapter of modifieds there, I guess. Ryan Gustin from Marshalltown, Iowa, he put on one heck of a show all week, really. Zach Vanderbeek from New Sharon, another awesome performance in a home-built race car, basically. You can't go wrong coming to a USMTS show. If nothing else, the stock cars will be a good show.
Yeah, yeah. Nice shout out here to the Murdies that are here that you got a chance to see and talk to as well. This was interesting. I'm really interested to follow this. I get the emails from USMTS as well with the stories that are coming out from each and every race. So thanks so much for joining us. And Trevor, I think one thing that we're going to want to do is have you on the show later on this year.
Anytime.
All right, we'll make sure to get in contact with you.
As long as I'm close.
We got to work around that weird schedule of yours, but we'll make it happen. Thanks so much for joining us. That is Trevor Rash, again, the National Technical Director for the U.S. Modified Touring Series USMTS, highest level of modifieds in the United States. We'll take one more break, come back, tell you what's happening in racing locally when we return on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is proud to announce our Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit in our museum this season from June 1st through October 1st. Stop in and view 6 of the sprint cars that Sammy has driven during his illustrious sprint car career, and our exclusive Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell t-shirts and posters to match Sammy's race cars on display will be available inside our museum store. That's the Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit beginning June 1st and running through October 1st, only at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Celebrating 35 years in business, Rick and his crew at RJ Performance have kicked off a year-long sales event with a huge inventory of Polaris, Ranger, and ATV, Indian and Victory motorcycles, and the Hot Rod Autocycle Slingshot. We also carry the famous Yamaha line of ATV and off-road motorcycles, including the new retro street bikes. Tired of watching your friends have all the fun? RJ Performance also has a huge inventory of quality pre-owned UTV, ATV, and street bikes. Stop in today and get in on the fun, or visit us online at rjperformance.com.
Back one final time here on the Checkered Flag live on the No Coast Network. Thanks so much for joining us. Before we sign off, I'd like to let you know what's coming up in racing in our local area. First, tomorrow night at the Southern Iowa Speedway here in Oskaloosa. Of course, the weekly racing. It begins with the Southern Iowa Speedway pre-race show launching at 6 p.m. on 104.9 FM KBOE and KBOEradio.com. Jeremy Fox will give you all the action, and he'll be interviewing some local drivers, some sponsors, get you set up for what should be a fun night of racing. Lap by lap, turn by turn coverage at the Southern Iowa Speedway with Jeremy Fox starting at 7:15. The racing begins around 7:30. The hot laps start at 7 if you want to join them out there at the Southern Iowa Speedway at the Southern Iowa Fairgrounds as well. Again, that is tomorrow night, and all the action is on 104.9 FM KBOE, KBOEradio.com, and the KBOE mobile app. Then coming up this weekend, Friday is usually a fun night for Eddyville at Eddyville Raceway Park. The Knoxville Raceway is going to be having their racetrack mid-season championships coming up, and that is going to be on Saturday. The hot lap starting right around 6:45 for that, and we'll have coverage for that next week on the Checkered Flag. And then Eddyville's actual racing for the points are going to be on Saturday with the early start time of 11 a.m. for the opening of the racetrack. 1 p.m. is going to be the start for the time trials on Saturday. So if you're looking for a fun night of Eddyville Raceway Park action on the drag strip, that is a day you'll absolutely want to check that out as well. As mentioned, all of those tracks will have recaps for next Tuesday. That will be on the Checkered Flag right here on the No Coast Network starting at 7 p.m. live from your hometown Oskaloosa Pizza Ranch. You're not going to miss that as well here on KBOEradio.com and on 104.9 FM KBOE. I'd like to thank all my guests, Bill McCroskey. I'd like to thank Damon and Dallin Murdy for coming and joining us, and Trevor Rash, the National Technical Director of the United States Modified Touring Series. That'll do it for our director, Miranda Keeler, and back in our studios in Oskaloosa, Alyssa Phillips. I'm Emery Sunger signing off for another episode of the Checkered Flag here on the No Coast Network.
This has been the Checkered Flag on your station for racing. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. The Checkered Flag has been presented by Mahaska, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Sigourney Body Shop, Danny's Auto Supply, Quality Car Wash, Morton Buildings, Motor Inn Auto Group of Knoxville, Vanderlinden Detailing, Schroeder Alignment and Towing, Vital Ministries, RJ Performance, and Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. This has been the Checkered Flag on 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. This has been a production of No Coast Network.